Are you looking for some fun tennis activities that you can do at home? Welcome back to yet another episode. I'm your friendly neighborhood coach Jose, and in this episode, we're gonna have a look at some fun tennis-friendly activities you can do at home. One really fun activity to do at home is to get some socks on and slide around. This only works really well if you have tiles or wooden floorboards. Be very careful. When you slide around, there's a couple of key things that you need to look out for in terms of what you do with your feet. Okay, so this is the foot I'm sliding out with. If you have your foot ever so slightly more on your pinky toe, your little toe, whatever you want to call it, if your weight is ever so slightly, even if it's just the tiniest little bit outwards, you are going to roll your ankle. Don't do this. Make sure all your weight is on the inside of your foot, as so. If you have all your weight like this, it is impossible to roll your ankle if you're sliding this way. Now for my left foot, I wanna make sure that this foot is fairly neutral. If anything, just a slight weight on the inside, but not too much. This one, you don't need to focus too much on this and you don't need to put too much pressure on this. It's the right foot where you're sliding to your right that you wanna make sure that you pay very close attention to making sure it stays on the inside. So just a quick reminder, whenever you are sliding around, make sure the weight of your foot on the direction you're sliding. So if I'm sliding to the right, I want to make sure that all my weight is on the inside of my foot pushing outwards. If I go on the outside of my foot, then I'm going to roll my ankle, break it, do some serious damage. So you want to make sure that when you do your sliding, keep all your weight on the inside in whichever direction you're going. So if I'm using on my left foot and I'm sliding this way, all my weight's going this way, I want to make sure I'm on the inside of my foot here. Just have a look at all of the pros in terms of how they slide and where they wear out their shoes. Goodness me, I got through that. Just see where the shoes are worn out. Most of them, their shoes are worn out, and I should show you here. Most of them, their shoes are worn out on the inside of their shoe. The little toe sits is almost brand new all the time. It's always the inside, wherever their big toe is, that side of their shoe is more worn out because that's how they slide across. They never put their foot on this side. This is a good lesson for how to slide. Work on it at home and then you can give it a try. I would recommend going to a clay court or a synthetic grass court before you giving it a try on a hard court. Another really fun activity to do at home. If you have space, and I recommend doing this outside. For me, I'm lucky I've got a nice cement wall in the middle of my home here, so I can use that. I'm gonna take use of it. Kids, make sure you get permission from your parents first. I will not be held responsible for this. And husbands, well, look out for your wife. I'm lucky my wife is away right now, so I can get away with this. Let's get this over with quickly. So all I'm gonna do is work on very softly controlling and tapping the ball up to myself. You'll notice with this activity, I'm not going incredibly hard. I'm keeping my hand nice and strong here, but I'm not hitting very hard with my wrist. And another thing I'm doing is I'm keeping my racket facing more up to the ball here, up to the roof, because if I face it directly forward, the ball's gonna go much lower, okay, and it's gonna be a lot faster and harder to control. So I wanna go more up so I can control a little bit more the pace of the ball and how much the height of the ball is. So I've got a little bit more time before the ball comes back to meet my racket. Whereas if I keep holding it straighter, it comes faster and lower. My neighbors downstairs must hate me right now. I'm like that upstairs neighbor with the ball. I've seen those videos where they're like got bowling balls and like marbles and all of that. They must hate me right now. I'm sorry, I'll be done in a minute. Stay in control of your motion. No need to rush it and just breathe. And if you make a mistake, the ball goes over, that's fine. You can just go pick it up and then start again. But remember, avoid doing this inside your home. I've been doing this for many years and I have a little bit more practice of doing this and I can control the ball fairly well. But for you at home, probably go outside and find a wall. That's my best advice. The next activity we're going to be looking at is very simple, and you can do this inside your home as long as you have a little bit of a space and you're not going to knock over anything that's important. Kids, get parents' permission, and husbands, just make sure you watch out for your wife. I will not be held responsible if anything breaks. All we're going to be doing in this one here is just simply tapping up the ball. All you're doing is right now controlling the ball and understanding where the face of your racket is pointing. If it's pointing out to the side, you'll notice your ball is going to continue going out to the side. But if you can have good control and understand where your racket face is moving, then you can keep that ball to yourself and even do some little tricks. This one is a very important activity. I recommend a lot of juniors do this, and beginners, and adult beginners, junior beginners, all the beginners, because this is probably one of the most neglected skills in tennis, where you actually develop feeling and controlling the ball and the racket face, understanding where that's facing. One of the most important things for all players is to be able to feel what they're doing when they're hitting the ball. If they're just coming out and just taking big whacks, big swings at the ball, sure, you could probably hit the ball quite good and you might have general control, but you can't really feel what you're doing with your shot. When it comes into match play, you'll probably make a few mistakes here and there and you won't know how to self-correct. It's very important that you can feel what you're doing to understand, oh, hey, I need a little bit more spin, or I need to get a little bit more under the ball, or I need to get a little bit more over the ball. These little things like this, you'll never be able to really tell and self-correct if you don't build up those little things such as feeling the ball on your racket. That is very important with tennis players if you want to go very far. This last activity requires a resistance band. This one is actually such a good exercise for tennis players for building up a little bit more strength and also stopping injuries in the future. So building up a little bit more strength and flexibility in your shoulder and in your forearms. What you want to make sure you get is a resistance band. I'm going to hook it up on my door frame here, or on my door, the handle. Make sure I've got a bit of tension. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep it on my side, so I've got like a 90-degree with my arm. I'm going to pull it in towards myself, back and in, back, in. 1, 2, 3. You can do reps of 10 to 15 and sets of maybe 3 to 5. I think that's the internal rotation, and then we have the external rotation. So I turn around. Now I'm sorry I got my back facing to you, but what you're going to do then is you're going to keep that same 90-degree in your arm, but then you're going to pull it outwards, back and outwards. Now, a great one for the serve, and I'll bend down a little bit so you can see me, to be able to do the serving motion. What you do is you have a 90-degree here and a 90-degree here. And you want to keep that all the time. So you're going from one position here, up high, and you're coming down, up, down. And this one is an excellent motion to build up that strength in your rotator cuff for your serving motion. The serve is exactly that motion. It's just reaching much higher to do that. So you're getting right up high, turning or pronating, and then you're coming all the way through. Make sure you get that rotation and build up your strength this way, and do the reverse of it. So then you turn around and then you're starting same 90 degrees and then 90 degrees here. And you're just doing back, up. 1, 2, 3. So you want to just always keep that motion there, whether you're pulling down or you're pulling upwards. You always want to keep that 90-degree here and 90-degree down the bottom here. If you're bending down here, then you're going to be pulling and doing a slightly different motion, slightly different muscle. So you want to keep that up there to build that strength a little bit more on your shoulder. Now, tension varies depending on how much strength you have. If you're brand new at doing this, maybe get like a lighter or less resistance band. If you're quite strong, maybe a little bit more strength in the band or a little bit more tension in the band. Just feel what best works for you to be able to do 3 sets of 10 to 15. Wasn't that a fun session at home? If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to send it to a friend who you think could use this advice. But for now, That's it for this episode. Thanks for joining in. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Don't tell my wife.